When growing plants from seed, the appearance of a tender shoot reaching up for the light can feel like a wondrous surprise. One day there is the dark surface of soil, and the next a sprout is there. But have you ever imagined this process from the point of view of the seed? In today's reading, David Reinecke invites us to consider these thoughts and feelings of the seed as it quietly transforms in darkness before emerging into the light. And while we may not be tomato seeds, we all know something of uncertainty and change, especially after this last year. In Reinecke's imagination, the transformation of the tomato seed begins within the damp earth and with an uncertain longing, a half-remembered dream. A year ago, what we would yet become was also uncertain, and only the smallest start of what we have developed was there, a seed. And yet from small beginnings comes disruption and transformation. That, after all, is the very nature of change. The small tickle and intimation of something different begets a process of terror and wonder. Life as we have known it begins to dissolve. To change is to lose something. It is to lose our sense of our edges, of who we are, of how we fit in and relate to the world around us. Like a seed, change can split us open, break us apart. We are no longer as we were. To experience such change, such transformation is indeed to face and know terror. And yet so often change and transformation is also the stuff of wonder. We watch a seed become a seedling. We watch a caterpillar become a butterfly. We watch an infant take a first step. We watch ourselves learn to do something new and then learn to do it well. Both terror and wonder intermingle in the experience of change and the tender steps of setting forth in a new direction. Like the tomato seed with scarlet dreams that hint of possible futures of robust tomatoes, we often only have hints of what may come, dreams with foggy images. As we set out online last year, we certainly had foggy images of what would come. Just as it's hard to imagine how a tiny tomato seed can become a 7 or 8 foot long vine and dozens of juicy tomatoes, so also we would have struggled to imagine that a year later we would be here, online, yes, but also confident and creative about how to be online. I mean, look at Thaddeus's pie stewardship announcement. We wouldn't have seen that before. And while I do not think we could have accepted we would be impacted for this long, I think we would also be wowed that multiple vaccines were developed, approved, and distributed in record time. Both terror and wonder, indeed. But here we are again, looking towards a fuzzy horizon of an uncertain year. New questions start to take shape. When will I be vaccinated? When will we reach herd immunity? When will it start to feel normal again? How do we emerge from all of this? To be honest, when I envisioned today's sermon, I thought I would be full of an optimistic tone and a positive vision of the future. And yes, there is much to feel hopeful about as vaccine availability rises, infection rates lower, and creativity abounds. Suggestions that the 4th of July might involve a festive backyard gathering brings a smile. We are indeed on a path to emerge into a different place in the coming months. And yet, perhaps like me, you are still feeling trepidatious about what comes next. With the reverberations of all the changes from this past year still vibrating among and within us, it feels tiring to consider facing another round of questions about changing how we interact with one another, about what is and is not safe to do, about how to make something both safe and meaningful. Mindful of this sense of trepidation, I began to reflect on how fragile and difficult emergence can be. I'll give you some examples. First, here's a video of a grizzly bear, Boo.
Hi. 8 years it took me to catch this moment. Yeah. Hello. Oh, my big boy. Mama's so proud of you. You are such a good sight.
As Boo emerges from his winter hibernation from the den beneath the snow, we notice that his caretaker has lots and lots of energy, but Boo appears dazed and sluggish, caught somewhere between sleep and wakefulness, between the darkness of his den and the bright light of a snowy day. So also, as some of us may have seen on this week's social listserv, the bees of our 2 first parish hives are thankfully alive. As Anne and Nan wrote, many, many colonies in New England have died over the winter, but we are thrilled to report that the 2 first parish hives are teeming with bees. Like us, they are emerging from a long, dark, cold winter. Some are already collecting pollen and bringing it back to the hive. Spring is springing, even if we can't yet see much in bloom. And finally, let us consider again the tomato seedling. While there is wonder in the emergence of a green shoot from a round, flat disc beneath the soil, the seedling remains perilously fragile. When but a few inches tall, the slender stem can lean beneath the weight of those new leaves. Any wise gardener will not move tender plants directly outside and into the ground. Rather, they introduce them slowly, first in an area protected from wind and bright sun, then bit by bit to more sun, more exposure. Slowly, slowly, the stem grows thicker and the leaves strengthen until the seedlings are ready to take that next step to be planted into the open plot of garden soil. Thanks, Matt. Given these examples from nature, I wonder then whether we should also expect our emergence to be anything but fragile and in need of tending, both as individuals and as a community. While part of us may be feeling the simple of elation of having made it through this winter like the bees, perhaps another part of us is feeling foggy and dazed like the bear. And while we may be hopeful at emerging signs of hope and possibility towards a semblance of normalcy, we may be cognizant of the threats that may yet undermine the tender new growth. In a sense, we are all gardeners of our spirits. Even as the season moves from late winter to the earliest days of spring, each of us may also be feeling the tickle of change as we move into a place of vaccines and towards a half-remembered dream of a life without the fears with which we have become so intimate. We may feel like we are split, broken open, going up and down at the same time, caught between the now and the not yet. How will we respond to being here? How will we tend to our spirits in this fragile time of emergence? I suspect we will need to be gentle with ourselves. It will be okay to still be a bit uncertain. As someone who has had the privilege of being 3 weeks past her second vaccine, I have slowly started to act differently. I recently sat in a coffee house with a cup of coffee and a journal, a beloved experience that I have longed for this year. And while it was a joy, I also remained aware of the number of people around me and their distance from me. And rather than linger as I might have in years past, I stayed 15, maybe 20 minutes before rushing off when the last sip was drunk. That was enough new behavior for one day. Change is terror and wonder, Reineck suggests. Reemergence, I think, will have elements of both. In the same way as a community, we too must be facing questions of reemergence. Having read through the notes of the visioning sessions, my first impression is that we hold both shared and different points of view, not a big surprise for a UU congregation. Many share a deep sense of longing to be in person, to hear the sounds of shared singing and the laughter of children. Many also value the opportunity to be connected into the service online and hope this continues. And while some have loved meeting new people through the randomization of breakout groups, others have missed connecting by choice to particular people or purposes. While more eyes than mine will yet read, digest, and report on the vision sessions, my initial insight is that the path of reemergence may once again be a time of learning and uncertainty, experimentation, and change. Like the process of the vision sessions, my hope is that our path of reemergence will be one of conversation and shared engagement. After all, the nature of First Parish is a self-governing, self-sustaining community. While we hopefully receive many things from our participation in the congregation, we are also the ones entrusted to tending to the health and well-being of the same congregation. There is no First Parish without each of you, nor without all of those who may not be logged into Zoom Sunday mornings, but who nevertheless are part of the life and work of the community. And yes, part of this stewardship is financial. Only because of your financial support are we able to be here for Sunday services, for online programming, for the continued care of our buildings to which you will return, and for all that is yet to emerge in the coming year and years. While these financial gifts are critical to the continued work of First Parish, so also is your engagement with imagining what we could be and helping to bring those dreams into being. We are here for each other and for those who are yet to walk through these doors in search of what we offer or could offer. In this shared project, we are asked to give what we are able and to freely receive what we need. What we give and what we need will be different and may change in various stages and times of our lives. That's okay. And this variety and these changes reflect that we are alive as a congregation. Together we support and sustain First Parish for one another. We will reemerge from this pandemic, and we will have changed because of what we have experienced. While the future may still be fragile and uncertain, we can feel the tickle of change. May we work together to sustain this community for the sake of all that has been and for all that yet may be in the emerging future. So may it be. Amen.